Well, here it is. Japanese website. I will put the link down below. They have applied for the N64 trademark. Now, what does that mean? Well, I believe that means that there's going to be a Nintendo 64 Classic. Very excited for this. Very interested in this also. I'll get to that in a second, but it looks like Nintendo has applied for the Nintendo 64 trademark in Japan. Purposes include video game program, controller for game machine, and all that stuff. This is the same thing that they did for the Super NES Classic and for the NES Classic. And if you go down here, you can read the writing. I understand what that says, but you guys might not. I don't want to read it. Just kidding. Anyway, so they have applied for this. So when is this going to come out? It'll be interesting if this comes out this year, because the NES Classic is going to be released again this year. So does Nintendo want this to be sold separately, not when the NES Classic is out? So maybe the NES Classic will be sold this year, going into the holidays, like after summer, going into the holidays, and then maybe this comes out next year. I don't know. Or what they do is sell a ton of NES Classics this year because they're releasing it again, and just have a limited amount of Nintendo 64s. It'll be really interesting because I'm not sure how they're going to run these games. Like the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic, if you ever modded them, they wouldn't run Nintendo 64 games. They could maybe run a couple, but you couldn't actually store a lot of the ROMs on the consoles themselves, the NES and the Super NES Classic, because they're too big. So I believe this is going to be a lot more money. I guarantee it's going to be at least $100, whether it's going to have one controller or two controllers. But the internal insides are going to have to be a lot more than what the NES and Super NES Classic had in them. But very excited for this because I knew this was coming. They patented a lot of other stuff, the controller design, and I believe the system design also. But very excited. Hopefully this comes out this year. Let's keep our fingers crossed. There's a few games that won't be on there. And, oh, sorry, my camera's a little shaky there, but I'm just recording with my iPhone. But a few games won't be on there for sure, like GoldenEye, because of the trademarks. A lot of rare games, because of the trademarks, they won't release them. But this definitely will be something that you could mod and probably put at least maybe 100 games, maybe 50 games, Nintendo 64 games on it. I am guessing that this will only have like 19 games on it. Maybe they'll have like a game that was never published, like they did for Star Fox 2. But anyway, there will be, I guarantee this will be coming out this summer sometime, probably June or July. Just an announcement that this is coming out. Hopefully it comes out this year. But anyway, that is my news for the day. This is actually really good news. If you guys down below in the comments put what games you guys want. There's a lot of great games for the Nintendo 64. But anyway, see you guys around.